All right, greetings everyone. Hope you're having a blessed day today. My name is Brian Jones, and I'm going to speak on AI in the media ministry. So just to give you a little bit of a background about myself, I've been in technology all my life. I was blessed with parents that allowed me to pursue my interests. They provided me with a number of different opportunities to work with different types of gaming systems and computers all throughout my life. So as such, a hobby or entertainment became a career. For my day job, I work as a database administrator for the University of Michigan. I've been doing that since 2007. Prior to that, I worked for a smaller company in Auburn Hills, Michigan. They were importer of cables and things from, technology from China. And this is something I more or less picked up. I went to school for business administration, but while I was in school, I've always had an interest and a love for technology. I mean, I could tell you about things back in the 80s with the 5.25-inch floppy disk and 3.5-inch floppy disks. I could tell you that when I was in high school, I worked for CompUSA. So I sold computers. I worked there as a accessories manager, assistant hardware director. So I assisted a number of different people with their technology problems, and nothing's changed, just the technology. So my current role in the church media ministry. Currently, I'm the lead facilitator for my church, Second Baptist Church of Ann Arbor. And my responsibilities are basically to ensure that everyone is knowledgeable of the tech or the AV equipment that we have in place, that we have the training materials in place in order to get new volunteers up to speed, and to make sure we're not a distraction. Because in the media ministry, if things go bad quickly. And just to ensure that we have what is needed at the time that it's needed, and the skill sets what is needed, it makes things flow all the more better. It's very similar to that of I was just listening to Pastor Rob, and he used to be an official for women's basketball. And the best games are when you don't notice the official. So in turn, the best services are when you don't notice the media ministry. Things just work. And that's my goal. And each week is different. We have a number of different individuals in our media ministry, ranging from the ages of 12 to 80. So of course, with that, different skill sets are available, different interests. So it's a balancing act as to who's available, what skills do they bring, and how can we go about working together to make sure that service proceeds, because that's what we're here for, to make sure that the message goes forth, it's heard well, it's seen well, and we're not a distraction. Because for the online audience, we're the eyes and ears. Everything they see and hear comes through us. So it's to our best effort, and it's our God-given responsibility to make sure that we do things decently and in order. So technology evolution in church settings. Like I said, I've worked in the media ministry for Second Baptist Church of Ann Arbor for the last 8 to 10 years. So it's through COVID. And just in that time, I've seen a number of different things come and go regarding streaming services, resolution cameras, and now AI. So as these things again, I apologize about this. Okay, great. All right, so real quick, practical strategies. We're going to learn about how to use AI within your media ministry. The things I'm going to present are going to be very basic, very easy. It's going to take you maybe a couple of hours just to log into the tool and understand how your ministry can benefit from these tools. I'm going to classify the tools. Some are better than others. Some are designed specifically for primarily chat or gathering information. Others are more focused on creating content or creating images. And mindset shift. Basically, AI is what you believe it to be. You can customize it, you can update it, you can leverage it in order to make your work easier. So Opus Pro. Opus Pro is something I use every week. The purpose of this tool is to extract video clips from sermons. I've been using this for the majority of 2025, starting in January. It's made a huge difference as to our YouTube and TikTok channel viewership. The way it works is that it has an algorithm within it in order to get a full understanding as to what message was being preached, and extracts what it believes are the most social media friendly clips in order to gain viewership for your audience. So it has different mechanisms in order to do that. If you take a look at the numbering scheme, it goes from 0 to 100. In this case, you see 96, 95. That's the projected popularity score. So the higher the number, the better it predicts it's going to respond on social media. The titles are automatically generated based upon the clips that it extracts. And it customizes those titles in order to make it more social media friendly, to make it more engaging. Yeah. You can actually schedule it from Opus Pro. So if you wanted to pre-schedule posts in advance, so if you wanted to schedule, say, create a 7-day schedule for various clips, which is what I do. And I'm going to go over that in my workflow as to how it all works. You can download them. So if you want to download certain clips for a presentation, like a year-end presentation in your media ministry or in your church itself, you can do that. You can actually upload videos too. Let's say you recorded something privately, but you wanted the tool in order to pull out different points, like a business meeting or a presentation or a play or something that is not on the internet, but you still want to use the tool in order to have it parsed through in order to get the most projected popular clips. It can do that. You can actually add keywords as well. You can say, give me all of the times where the audience laughed or where the pastor said a certain word or a certain keyword. You can customize Opus Pro in order to get what you want the way that you want it. And so you can actually use these clips to benefit your ministry. It's a very valuable tool. I use it every week, and I've seen a huge difference as to how our social media is being leveraged in my church. Canva AI. Canva AI is another item that should be used. If you don't already have it, get it. It's a free tool for nonprofits. All you have to do is fill out a form on the Canva website. It'll give you full access to all the various tools. And now it's added VO3. VO3 is a AI movie generator. So all you have to do is type in a sentence, describe the character, describe the scene, describe what is going on, and it will actually create up to an 8-second video for you with audio. So you can actually narrate or create your own announcements for, say, your beginning of church, or for youth if you wanted to animate a certain Bible study. I have some examples of what I'm doing with this, not only for my own church, but for a separate church that I work with. Midjourney. Midjourney is something I use on a weekly basis. It is an image generation platform. So I can describe, I can give it a prompt. I can tell it, in this part in the Bible, this book, chapter, verse, show me this character in this way, in this style, wearing this, showing this emotion, with this type of clothing, with this type of architecture, and it will create it. And the nice thing about Midjourney is that once you create it and you have a certain theme and structure that you like, you'll continue building upon that. It has a profile, so you can customize the profile to make the content more relative to you, to your preferences, to your congregation, to your interests. In addition to being able to use it for thumbnails, which is my primary purpose for it, you can use it for worship backgrounds. So if you actually had Pro Presenter or some other tool, but you wanted to create your own customized backgrounds and get away from the stock imagery, you can do that. And also within the children's ministry, if you want to create a narrative content, or aligned content based upon the previous sermon that was preached, you can do that. So for example, my pastor just preached on Moses hitting a rock. So you can actually go back to Midjourney and say, create this in a children's book format of Moses with his staff hitting a rock. You'll say black and white for a coloring book. You'll create that image. You can print it out and then develop a lesson plan based upon that while, the children's ministry is teaching. So it's a very, very, very valuable tool. Gamma AI. Gamma AI is what I'm using for this presentation. It is a tool to replace more or less PowerPoint. And the nice thing about it is you can craft your outline, plug it into Gamma AI, and it will actually go through the process of creating the slides with the associated images. For example, for this slide, it knew I was talking about Gamma AI, and it found the image that was most likely, based upon its interpretation, that will be most beneficial to me discussing this tool. You can add custom images. So if you wanted to create a mid-journey image, if you wanted to have a YouTube video clip, which I'll show you later, you can add all of these media components to Gamma AI, have it live online, and not have to deal with the bloat of PowerPoint. So again, another valuable AI tool in order to make our jobs easier. Costs from free only gives you about 10 slides to $15 a month. Great tool. All right, so the big dogs, ChatGPT and Claude. Both of these tools are large LLMs, LLMs, which refers to large language models. So it uses data models in order to gather information, and they go by certain timelines as to the cutoff dates for this information. And then it uses algorithms and technology in order to interpret what I give it as a prompt. And based upon what I give it as a prompt and its underlying data sources, it interprets that information and generates content. So you can generate books, you can create images. I'm sure all of us know the capabilities and the power of ChatGPT and Claude. Like, for example, this stuff is being updated on a daily basis. I just learned ChatGPT has an AI agent now, which is similar to Manus, M-A-N-U-S. And what it's going to do is allow you to tell it, go out, look up this information, create a PowerPoint presentation on this information, and email me when you're done. So it's an automation tool combined with AI. Very powerful. Claude, same type of thing. It has connectors, so you're going to be able to connect various forms of content. So your Google Drive, your email system, as far as Gmail, if you use that. Different tools like, can't think of it right now, but basically a task management utility. Monday. These types of tools usually require manual input by individuals, but with Claude and ChatGPT, they're developing connectors. They're developing systems in order to tie and bind these items together so you can just chat and say, go to this system, do this, collect this information, do that. It's an assistant. Now again, going back to my earlier point, it's just like Archimedes said, the more information you have about these tools, the longer your lever is, and you can use the AI, the fulcrum, in order to invoke change. So both tools can be used at a free mode, or you can actually go with the Pro or Plus modes for up to maybe about $20 a month, depending upon the usage. That just gives you additional capabilities, additional functionality in order to make your life easier. It's not 100% right all the time, but it's right more often than it's wrong. Notebook LM, love this thing. Notebook LM is a LLM similar to Claude and ChatGPT, but it relies solely upon your resources. So whatever content it gives you, it's going to use its algorithms, its technology in order to interpret that and then give you back the information. So you might wonder, what's the benefit of that? So one example that I have is that they recently allowed for public notebooks. So what we've done at our church is that we've uploaded all of our sermons from 2025 into Notebook LLM. It interprets the transcripts. And then now what I have is on the website, which I'll show you, it can serve as a chat bot for anyone who visits our website, provided they have a Gmail account. And anyone who has a question, okay, what sermons do you have that discuss this topic, that topic, this topic? It'll answer them. You'll give them a summary as to which sermons relate to that topic. You'll give them a link so they can actually go to that sermon in order to review it. So if for those of you who watched, I believe it's Pastor Rob's presentation, and he was discussing the marketing aspect and the importance of marketing, and part of it is just being able to answer information quickly and concisely without creating drama or contention or frustration. Anyone who had any questions about my church's ministry for anything that was preached this year could easily use Notebook LM and get those questions answered. 11 Labs. 11 Labs is a hugely valuable tool. I don't use it 100% in my ministry, but I use it for another ministry in which I serve as a consultant. So as opposed to having to request individuals to provide a voiceover or information related to whatever the weekly announcement would be, and just that energy and that conflict in schedule and whatnot, 11 Labs allows you just to type out whatever statement or announcement is required, and then it would generate that voice for you. And the nice thing about it is it can generate in whatever type of format or structure or age group or demographic that you desire. So let's say you had a children's ministry announcement, but you wanted to be a friendly voice, someone engaging and excited. You can do that. Let's say you had a senior ministry and you wanted to be reflective and calm and deliberate. You can do that. Let's say you wanted to have it something along the lines that's for a single group, so it'll be young and vibrant and energetic. You can do that. So all these tools have different characteristics and capabilities, and you can craft your message the way you want it to be, based upon just the tonality, the speaking capabilities, the accent, because as you can see there, multilingual support as well. So if, let's say you have a certain demographic, let's say you're in Florida and you need it to be bilingual, as opposed to having two different individuals speaking, one in English, one in Spanish, you can use this tool in order to craft both messages at the same time. And it's simple to do, it's clear, it's concise, and the tonalities, the nuances of the human speech are very, very good within this tool. HeyGen. Now we're getting into the video generators. HeyGen is known for its avatars. What you can do is use a previous tool that I discussed, like Midjourney, in order to create the image of the individual. Let's say it's your spokesperson. Let's say it's a virtual greeter, and you want this person to be able to present, or you wanted to create a video with this, I said person, with this avatar, and that's going to be the voice of your ministry. HeyGen is the tool, one of the tools that will be beneficial for that, because what you can do is upload different images of your virtual person, your avatar, and it uses its algorithms in order to create movies based upon the avatar, based upon their clothing, their style. It actually has algorithms in order to use, say, the poses in order to transition and make it more lifelike. So you see hand movements like I'm doing, you'll see them turn, you'll see them blink, and it can also lip syncs as well. So there's a certain process, which I'll show you in a moment, that allows you to tie these various tools together. 11 Labs for the audio, Midjourney for the images, then HeyGen ties it all together in order to make it more lifelike. Costs between $3 to $40 a month. Is not something that every ministry needs, but some ministries do, depending upon your workflows, your desires, what is required. So for example, using tools together. Here's an AI avatar I created for local ministry using the aforementioned 11 Labs, Midjourney, and HeyGen.
Good morning, Metropolitan Memorial Baptist Church family and friends. We are a church that is focused on serving Christ, loving people, and building community. Here are the announcements for this week.
All right. And another one, female.
Good morning, Metropolitan Memorial Baptist Church family and friends. We are a church that is focused on serving Christ, loving people, and building community. Here are the announcements for this week.
All right. I'm just going to log back into my iPad here. So, as you can tell, these are great. Each person, I said it again, each avatar has a different characteristic, a different tonality, but they reach a different audience. So being able to have this type of control in order to reach different populations is key. And the fact remains that we're talking about software here. So it's just a matter of taking the time in order to put these various pieces together, and you can craft your message however you see fit. Now, this is not to say, well, we can't use announcers anymore or this and the other, but things happen. Schedules change. People are unavailable sometimes, but to be able to have this in your back pocket, to know that the the message can still go forth. And it's okay. It's not a replacement, it's an enhancement. So the issues that we have as a media ministry, as far as scheduling and just coordination and whatnot, it's being minimized because we can leverage these tools in order to ensure that the job that we need to do gets done. All right, so let's level up a little bit. Now we're talking about VO3 and Kling AI. Both of these are video creation tools. VO3 is the most capable AI video creation tool on the market today. Because just as I showed you that previous video with Hey Jen, I had to use 3 separate utilities, 3 different systems in order to put that all together. The voice, the image, and the video. VO3 does all that at the same time. All you need to do is give it a prompt, describe your character, give it the narrative as far as what you wanted to say, and it will do it for you. I've even seen it add background noises that I didn't ask it to do. For example, I recently did a live stream for a local community. It was a nonprofit event. Yeah. And I created a commercial. And the commercial I created was going over how a live stream can be beneficial. And what I did was I had different segments of this commercial discuss the benefits of live streaming. So one was a coach, a football coach. And the football coach said something along the lines of, I didn't know that I could afford prescribing to a live streaming company in order to televise our game so the kids' parents can actually watch at home. So it came out great. And then it added a football whistle in the background just to give it that more of a lifelike presentation. So the viewer would see, okay, this is AI, but still it's not artificial. And what I mean by that, it's somewhat plausible, it's tangible, it's like. So Kling AI does something similar. It, again, you can just put in a prompt, say, create this character that does this to do that, but it doesn't have the capabilities of VO3 as far as just that audio part. You still have to use something like your 11 Labs or another utility in order to generate the voice, and then it has within its own mechanisms the ability to do the lip syncing. So it's one step below VO3 in my opinion, as far as its capabilities, but VO3 is more expensive than Kling AI. So it really depends on what your goals are, what your needs are, and then it's just a matter of choosing the appropriate tool. So here's a VO3 video that I used in Canva, or created in Canva.
I mean, I believe in God and all, but church just doesn't. They don't seem to understand what I'm dealing with.
So how many people out there have heard some of our young people say something similar? Now go to the next one while waiting on that. So I created this video using Google's tool called Flow. Again, one prompt.
I need to make sure my church can use these tools to reach our youth. Same message, different method.
So all I had to do is describe her characteristics down to clothing, to a brown business suit. Within the media ministry, the audio mixer and the screens are visible in the background. You can see a camera, it's dim light, cinematic structure. And it did this. One prompt. All right, so the guide. Early in the presentation, I mentioned that I would discuss classification, and this is more or less from a purpose and a pricing aspect. I would highly recommend starting with NotebookLM, Canva, and ChatGPT or Claude. Those tools are the go-tos. For example, with ChatGPT, you can actually create images. You can specify that you want the image to be of a certain resolution with a certain style, a certain characteristic. So that would minimize perhaps the necessity of going with something like a Midjourney. Now with Midjourney, it's top of the class when it comes to just being able to tweak things to an nth degree. But if you just want to get started, you can use ChatGPT in order to create your images. So that's why I put that at the starter level. the next level up, that's where you go to the Opus Pro Midjourney Gamma AI. With the Opus Pro, again, you can do something similar by downloading the content, like say downloading Sermon and putting it into DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro. So you can add the prompts manually. You can go through the video manually in order to extract the information. These are things that can be done. But from a time savings aspect, generally speaking, each week for me to generate, review, and schedule 7 clips for the upcoming week in Opus Pro, it takes me maybe 40 minutes. So by my service generally ends around maybe 1 p.m. on Sunday. By 3 p.m., I already have the next week's post for YouTube Shorts and TikTok videos already scheduled. I'm good to go. Now, Gamma AI, I like the tool because, again, it saves me time. You can do some of the things in PowerPoint, I'm sure. I'm sure it has some AI utilities, but just the way this flows and the customization as to how to actually use these tools, I really like Gamma AI. And then the top level, that will go for your 11 Labs, HeyGen, VO3, and Kling AI. I think those are for the advanced users, as stated. Again, it really depends on your ministry. It depends on your goals, your pain points, and the things that you're desiring to do. All of these tools, of the ones that I've listed here, I used all of them. And I find them all valuable, and they all have their own purpose. And now I must say that I use them not only for my church ministry, but also from a consulting aspect. As you may have noticed, I'm co-owner of a consulting company called 5 Stones Digital. So we actually provide digital media services, consulting, live streaming services, and more. So I'm not most, but I can see how these tools in one fashion or another can be beneficial to the media industry, depending upon your needs. So now we're going to go over my workflow that I just discussed as far as Sunday through Saturday and how I use these tools on a weekly basis. So Sunday post-service, as I mentioned, within 4 hours of the end of service, I have really 2, but within 4 hours of the end of service, I have the YouTube Shorts videos scheduled. I have the TikTok videos scheduled. I have the full sermon URL, which I can actually put within Notebook LM for another value add when it comes to the public notebook that I discussed. Now, it may not, I put that with a degree of hesitation, because with Notebook LM, it's going to use the transcript for your video. So it may be best suited to wait until Monday to allow the transcript to be generated by YouTube before you add it to Notebook LM, but it's still something you can do, depending upon your workflow. So Monday. First item is the sermon podcast creation. Again, outside of just being a knowledge repository with a chatbot, Notebook LM can also allow you to create podcasts. So you can create a podcast, and I'm sure you've heard it before, the same 2 voices, male, female, but you can actually plug in your URL in order to create a customized podcast based upon the sermon. Now, I'm not sure how many people do this, but once you tell it to create a podcast, you can actually go back and revise it somewhat. So you can go back and tweak it to say a certain thing at the beginning of the podcast, a certain thing at the end of the podcast. Make sure you mention this, make sure you mention that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the default. You can tweak it a bit. And that's what I've done based upon the bullet points I've listed there. And I'll give you an example of that. Number 2, social media content. Once your sermon has been posted and the transcript is available, what you can do is use that transcript also in order to feed it back into ChatGPT and Claude, and ask ChatGPT and Claude, help me create social media content based upon this sermon. You can say something along the lines of, create 5 ideas based upon this sermon for this demographic, for this age group. Tell me what image would be appropriate. Tell me what hashtags would be appropriate. Basically guide me in order to make sure that this content is effective for the audience that I'm targeting. And number 3, website, Sermon AI chatbot. We've discussed it before, but again, you would be able to copy the transcript into the public Notebook LM, make the public notebook notebook available on your website, and then engage with that chatbot in order to ask any type of question about any sermon that's within the notebook. So it's not a matter of, well, I think, or I thought, or I don't recall. Just use a tool. Upload the information, use a tool. I've already used it a number of times in order to make sure that I understood a sermon correctly, or not relying on my memory. Leverage the tool. It's free. And then it can answer the questions that people may have. And again, it's just something to bless the people. I mean, technology is great for technology's sake, but everything I'm talking about here is just to be able to ensure that the message goes forth, to make sure that the content is available for those that need it when they need it. People are people. Some people are going to look at this and say, no, I'm not doing that. And it's okay. But I'd rather have a tool out there, or tools out there, that allow my ministry to be more effective, to allow the messaging to be consistent, to allow needs to be met. That's my whole thing. Let's solve the problem. And these tools help solve the problem. So, for example, here is the prompt right here that I use in order to create a custom podcast for our sermon. So let me just play you a clip here.
Welcome to the Growth Spurt, a weekly AI podcast by the Second Baptist Church of Ann Arbor.
It's great to be here.
Today, we're diving into some really thought-provoking insights from a sermon called The Aftermath. It was delivered by Dr. Stephen J. Daniels Sr.
A powerful message.
Absolutely. And our mission today really is just to unpack this sermon, pull out some key nuggets of wisdom that, resonate far beyond the church walls.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this sermon, it's actually the second part of a series called I'm Bad.
Right, focusing on anger.
Exactly. And if you caught the first part, you'll remember the core idea. Anger itself, well, it isn't automatically a sin. The Bible even says, be angry, but sin not.
So it's not the feeling itself.
No, it's more about...
So as you can tell, it's about a 7-minute podcast, and they go over the various sermon points. So if you never use this tool, again, it's free. If you're live streaming to YouTube, you already have access. You already have the ability to create notebooks, then Notebook LM. So if you're live streaming and you don't have access to the Gmail account that's associated with, ask whomever is required in order to get access to it. Go to notebooklm.google.com, create a notebook, upload the sermon transcript, and try it out. It's free. All right, so we discussed social media. So this is Instagram post that I created Tuesday for my previous sermon from my pastor. And I basically gave it the transcript and said, give me 5 ideas for my demographic, 18 to 35 years old, African-American, non-churchgoers. That's something that's uplifting, encouraging, but yet informative. So it assessed the full transcript, and it said, your incredibly rich sermon transcript. So I guess there's a bit of a dig there. But it generated this first post idea, anger isn't sin, but this is. And as you can tell, I basically used everything it suggested in order to create the image that you see on the left. This took me 5 minutes, combined with, say, Midjourney. And in fact, I used ChatGPT in order to tell me, okay, great, thank you for this post idea. Give me a prompt from Midjourney based upon this person, or based upon what you just described as to within this image. And it did that. It took me 2 times to run a prompt. And that's something else to remember. When you're using these tools to create content, be it VO3, be it ChatGPT, be it VO3, be it Midjourney, sometimes the first try isn't enough. It's going to continue to try and create content for you based upon a prompt, but not every prompt is going to be successful. So sometimes you have to try the same prompt 2 or 3 times. And if on the 3rd time it's just not getting it, tweak it a bit. Change the structure of the wording. Sometimes the placement of a word. Move it to the beginning of the prompt, more so than the end. So the LLM, or in this case, Midjourney, is trying to guess what you want. But sometimes you have to restructure the statement in order to have it fully understand what you're looking for. All right, so now I'm going to go to the questions for a little bit, make sure I'm not missing anything. So D said, is there a way to use the same avatar in VO3 once created? Yes, VO3 just announced that it allows for frame to video. And what frame to video means is that you can actually create an image like we did in Midjourney, upload it to VO3 and say, create a movie based upon this starting image or starting frame. And it's going to basically use that information in order to create the remainder of the movie. So that's what they refer to as a constant character. So VO3 just added that now. Not every tool that you use will give you that capability. For example, Canva gives you access to VO3, but you can only use Flow by Google to leverage the frame to video capabilities currently. Canva may add that in the near future, but Flow offers that to you right now. Let's see. Mike says, can the notebook LM be publicly faced, say, on our church's website? Yeah, I do it right now. I'll show you thank you for saying that or asking that, because I'm going to show you the slide exactly where we have ours, so that way after this presentation is over, you can try it out yourself. Are there any questions that I missed? Mike, have I put sermon notes into Gamma AI? Not yet, but it's something that I may do, because let's say you want to use it for a presentation for the kids or teaching. Now, I may use something like Claude more so than that, but yeah, you can use it for Gamma AI, absolutely. Mike, what are the lengths of clips you can generate with Canva VO3? Only up to 8 seconds. All right, I think I caught up, so let's keep going. So, asking you shall receive. Notebook LM Sermon AI chatbot. So if you take a look right here, this second icon, which looks like a book, that is the link to our public Notebook LM notebook. It has every sermon from Second Baptist Church from the beginning of this year. When you're using the free tool, you can only go up to 50 sources per notebook. If you go with the paid plan, which also gives you access to VO3 Flow that I just mentioned, then you get up to 350 sources per notebook. So presuming you have one service per week, if you just, for one notebook, and you can have, I think, dozens of notebooks, I'm not sure of the exact number, but let's say you want to have one publicly facing notebook specifically for this purpose, as far as uploading sermons, you can have up to 5 years of sermons, and people can ask questions about any one of them, because you're just uploading the transcript, and the Notebook LM utility is going to parse through all that data and then provide answers to the questions. Now, if you take a look here, you can also have an audio overview. Some of you have probably already seen that, to which that's what I just described before, where you actually create a podcast. But you also have interactive mode right here. What that will do is allow you to engage or interact with it. So just as I'm speaking to you now, you can click on that, and while the individuals in the podcast would discuss the content, you can pause it, use your microphone, ask it a specific question, and then it will do its best to answer that question. So Notebook LM is a very, very valuable tool for allowing you to leverage LLMs for your custom specific data. So back to the workflow. Wednesday through Saturday is primarily designed for any type of social media that we haven't already discussed that's relevant to the previous week, and then in preparation for the upcoming Sunday. So as we discussed before, I historically used stock images like pixels, deposit photos. I've forgotten them now since I haven't used them in such a long time, but basically stock stock image websites that create or provide generic images for marketing purposes. So again, trying to find the right image for the right message, especially considering it's biblically based, it was always a problem. It always took a lot of time. You have various issues as far as when it comes to the individuals within the images, and it was just inconsistent and problematic. But now being able to leverage Midjourney, being able to leverage ChatGPT, being able to leverage these tools in order to craft message as you see it, and its full awareness of the content within the Bible and the ability to create images based upon prompts, the necessity or the probability of using stock images or default templates is diminished, because I mean these tools are designed to allow you to create whatever you envision. It's just a matter of having the appropriate knowledge and appropriate time in order to understand how they work, and then you can craft it based upon your ministry, based upon your needs, based upon your mindset. So for example, the YouTube thumbnail on the left was a image I created for this one sermon. It was based upon, as I see at the bottom, 2 Chronicles 20:13-7. But you will not even need to fight. Take your positions. Stand still, which was a key message, and watch the Lord's victory. So as you can see on the right, that's from a stock image. This one was especially painful to me because I methodically went through each one of those squares, removed the existing image, and placed a given letter there. So it took me some time. I got real familiar with Photoshop in doing that, because I had an image in my mind. This is what I want it to look like. So something like that I just described probably took about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I wasn't really skilled at Photoshop at that time. And the software has improved considerably since then. But still, it's one of those things you remember the amount of work involved in order to create that message. So again, the danger of using stock imagery is that you'll probably see it somewhere else. Here's another one. So on the left, God, I can't do this without you. The implied intent was that God is carrying us through our issues. So you only see one set of footsteps in the sand. Again, the message was related to Mark 9:14-27, where Jesus heals a demon-possessed boy. So it's kind of a vague reference as far as the initial image. So it doesn't really give you, and again, that's the thing with YouTube. You really want your YouTube thumbnails in order to pop out. You want it to evoke some type of curiosity so people can understand that, okay, this is what this message is about. The one on the left is very generic. So you can look at that and say, okay, great. I have no idea what this is about. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't know. The one on the right, I did that last night in about maybe 10 minutes using Midjourney, giving it the specific verse and describing this is what I want it to look like. I want this kind of emotion. I want the boy to look distraught. He's demon possessed. I want Jesus in order to imply comfort, provide healing, provide some degree of understanding and purpose that I can help you. These are the type of emotions that I wanted the thumbnail to invoke. And I think it did a pretty good job. So again, generic versus purposeful. And knowledge-based building. Not only do I use Notebook LM for the aforementioned items as far as a podcast and the publicly facing notebook for individuals that might visit our website, but also use it internally for training. So any type of content related to my media ministry, as far as best practices, lessons learned, issues that we discovered, product manuals, anything that allows our job to be easier, anything that allows us to better understand our purpose, anything that gives us a better resource to go to, that we can just type out a question and get a response. We leverage Notebook LM for that purpose. And it goes beyond just the general operations. As you can see, it says Social Media Reference Guide. So you have all of these subject matter experts providing content. Gary Vee, Brady Shearer, Church Media Tools. they're giving information, giving best practices on how they leverage social media or whatever the tool may be in order to accomplish their goals. There's no reason why we can't take those YouTube videos, put it into our Notebook LM, ask the questions, and get the information that's relevant for whatever it is we're trying to do. There's nothing that says you can't upload YouTube video URLs that you don't own. So as opposed to watching all these videos, going back, trying to remember, I saw this video, I saw Gary Vee said this, and I'm not advocating Gary Vee because, language. But I know I saw something on YouTube about this. I don't remember what it was. If you ever have a need to retain information, knowing that perhaps you don't have the ability to look at it right now, but you want to go back later and revisit it, put it in a Notebook LM. And ideally, you'll create a notebook specific to whatever subject, but the tool's there and it's free, again. Just to go back over to Notebook LM, I promise I'm not getting paid by Google, but it's incredible. Teaching materials. So if you wanted to upload information for Bible study, and let's say you had a certain curriculum, or you're using something from a certain book, or you have, a certain methodology, or you have different teachers and they wanted to be able to upload their collective information in order to create a narrative based upon whatever the goals may be, use Notebook LM. Training resources, kind of went over that in depth when I was just discussing what my media ministry does as to the technology, and then presentations. Let's say you had a combination of materials. Let's say you have certain flyers, certain PDFs, certain emails, certain YouTube videos. Pull all of that related to your church into one Notebook LM, and then you have a repository of all of that content to which you can ask Notebook LM, what are the connecting points? What are the similarities? What are the key aspects of how we can present this information in a cohesive manner versus trying to do all of that yourself? Use the tool in order to make your job easier. For example, at the bottom, it says something along the lines of create an outline for a 15-slide presentation for effective prayer for small group leaders. It can do that. It can do something like, Mike, what you just said earlier, where you wanted to, I'm sorry, you just left me. But basically, use the tool in order to ask it, how can I create content based upon these sources? And it can do it for you. All you have to do is tell it the format, like Markdown format, presentation, Word document, spreadsheet, all of the above. Yes, Envato Elements. That's something else I use as well. Thank you for that, Mike. So again, just kind of go over the video announcements, the tools. The high-end tools will be Kling AI, VO3, and HeyGen. Those are the most popular right now. These models are being improved on almost a daily basis. So there's this other tool, I think it's called Seance. Some of these are from China that offer different capabilities. They're always trying to level up and outdo one another. But those are the top three that I would recommend as far as any type of video creation. Again, if you didn't have the resources, or let's say you don't have a dedicated room or scheduling, like for example, during the summer, you need to create some announcements, but people are out and about, they're traveling, they're on vacation, not around. And it's kind of time consuming just trying to get people together to do the announcements. Use these tools. Use them to the best of your ability in order to, again, solve problems. And that's really what we're talking about here. This leveraging the technology in order to make your life easier. A lot of times we're working with different volunteers. We don't have the time, we don't have the resources, but there's still the desire. There's still the desire to ensure the message goes forth. These tools help you do that. So, to get started, as we mentioned before, Notebook LM is free. All you need is a Gmail account. ChatGPT Plus, you can go with ChatGPT, the free version. But with Plus, it just gives you some additional access. It gives you access to the agent that I mentioned, which can be used for automation. And it gives you different degrees of access. So it's not going to slow down your responses or tell you to come back tomorrow because you've already used up your available entries or prompts for a given day. Canva Pro, again, contact them, tell them you're a nonprofit. They'll ask you for your 501c3 documentation. You get access to all of the templates and pro level access, including VO3. And then Gamma AI, you may like PowerPoint. I like this tool because it helps me be more effective and leverage my time better. Intermediate, again, Opus Pro, highly recommended. If you have any desire in order to create content for social media and you wanted to just leverage a tool in order to help you save time, as AJ has mentioned, you can still do it yourself if you have the means and the resources and the time to do that. But I prefer taking a couple hours at the most, generating the 7 videos, scheduling it, and I'm done. Midjourney, again, just that to reiterate, the freedom of creation without restriction. You don't have to go to these sites, Adobe, Pixels. You don't have to try and parse through all of their images to find something that aligns with your messaging. Create your own messaging and customize it to your message, to your purpose, your demographic, your needs. 11 Labs, again, voiceovers, customized, multilingual, another tool in order to increase your messaging, and the basic tools, NotebookLM, ChatGPT, Canva, and Gamma. So, again, HeyGen, VO3. Oh, Leonardo AI. Some of these services have all-in-one capabilities. So they give you your video, they give you your audio, they give you your images. Leonardo AI is one of those. You know, really what it does is it's more of a LLM distributor, for or a connector, for lack of a better term. It doesn't do it itself, but it connects to ChatGPT, it connects to Claude, it connects to VO3, it connects to Kling. You have to buy credits, but if you're looking for an all-in-one tool in order to connect to these various resources, you can use something like Leonardo AI because it connects to these other LLMs via APIs or I forget what interface, programmable interface. But sometimes it's beneficial, sometimes it's not, because in using Leonardo AI or these other all-in-one tools, sometimes the message gets lost. So I personally rather go to the best of breed, leverage that, and that way I'm not restricted, but teach their own. So here's some of the metrics. So this is something I've shared with the members of the roundtable periodically. And this refers to number of YouTube channel views separated by demographic. And I apologize, it's in reverse order. So starting at April 2024, primarily almost 100% of viewership is 65 and up. Now, June and July and August, we had a little bit of hits with the 55 to 64 year old age group, or 35 to 44. But I think in this time frame we had graduations, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. But as you can tell, they were pretty much one-offs. There was no consistent connection with our full scope of our demographics. And I'm going to hurry up here because I know I'm out of time. But starting in December 2024 and January 2025, that's when we started to post daily videos on YouTube and TikTok. Short clips, a minute or less, every day. I mean, the word says, man cannot live by bread alone. Give us this day our daily bread. So in this case, give us this day our daily word. If you take a look, it's more balanced. Starting at really February 2025, we're hitting almost every age group. So that means that not only are the elders getting the message, but we have some young people too. We have the boomers. We have everyone's getting something out of it. And I see a huge discrepancy when it comes to viewership as far as time. And it goes back to the earlier point I discussed with the young lady. They're looking for quick bites, sound bites, fast food, versus the older individuals are looking for in the full message. I want to be fully engrossed within it and sit down there and spend some time with it. So here's the next slide when it comes to number of views. As you can tell, between April and December is pretty flat, roughly around 400 people or 400 views per month. But as we started adding clips, YouTube, TikTok, it spiked exponentially. And it's been pretty consistent since then. Moral of the story, young people want quick hits. They want the quick bites, 30-second clips. Give me the core message. Our elders, let's sit down, take our time, enjoy it for what it is. And here's the TikTok channel. So since we started, in this case, the end of January, we've had 58,000 views, 4.4 or 4,400 likes, and 92 shares. And this is without any type of paid promotions or advertisements, just a matter of putting the content out there and letting the people digest it and consume it. Again, going back over some areas where I provide consulting services for different ministries and different companies: AJN, 11 Labs, VO3. AI is an amplifier. Can't apologize for my cat. AI is an amplifier. Leverage it in order to move the needle. Start small. Start with Notebook LM and Canva. Upload your content. Just see how it works. Take your time. Do it time after time. God will give you the ideas and images as far as, let's try this, let's try that. A lot of times, I don't know how I'm going to do something, and God will just say, try this tool, let's try it this way. And I've just built it up time after time after time to where I'm at now. And believe me, I'm just at the beginner level. These tools have so many more capabilities that I haven't really started exploring yet. And then from the community, the fact that you can customize the content means you can be more effective in your communications. You can allow people to see themselves as far as how they fit within the word and how the messaging applies to them, more so than making it generic to try and make it for everyone. So I imagine each one of your ministries has a different demographic, different style, different communication methods. It's our job to know what our ministry needs and use these tools in order to make the communications more effective to their needs, in alignment with the pastor in our church. If you want to get in touch, my email is bjones@fivestonesdigital.com, and my phone number is 734-494-0270 if you have any questions or you want to follow up. I'd love to speak with you. And with that, AJ asked for this slide in order to session survey. I'm going for the #1 spot, so please vote for me. Otherwise, hopefully this was a blessing to you. I enjoyed this. It was fun. AI is fun. I love solving problems. I love using technology in order to make sure that God's message goes forth, and that's what it's all about. So with that, I'll take a look at the chat. If there are any questions, I answer those. But I hope you enjoyed it.